Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trackcast. I'm your host, Rich Hanson. Today, I have a special guest with me, Dave Wodka. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Dave, you are Global Marketing Manager here at Track. Tell us a little bit about what you do for the company so everybody kind of has an introduction to you.
So, yeah, as the Global Marketing Manager, I oversee everything that comes out of the marketing department, all the ad sheets, all the campaigns that we do. They all come across my desk, and we get together as a team, as you know, and decide on all this, and then I'm ultimately the one that has to sign off on it.
Yeah, so whenever we come up with a new product, you're the one that leads the team to find out what direction we're going to take that product to market.
Right. Using the ball development team and getting their thoughts on it, on how we want to run the campaign, what consumer we're talking to, what kind of promotions we want to do on it, and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect. So on this episode, we're going to go a little bit different. We've been talking about RGs and differentials and so forth with bowling balls. I want to talk about the bowler's fit. So this episode, we're going to go through and talk about Dave's career a little bit and the times that he's changed his fit throughout his career and what caused all those things. All right, so this episode, we're going to talk about the bowler's fit, when we should check it and so forth. But what I want to do is go through a little bit of your career, Dave, and some of the times that it triggered you to change your fit. So let's talk about the very first time bowling on the tour that you decided you need to look at your fit.
You know, when I first went out on tour, I was used to bowling a little bit, but, you know, it's different than bowling 42 games in a week or 56 games in a week. And by about a year into tour, I couldn't get through a week without my hand being torn apart, and half the time it was bloody, and it was just a mess. So I knew at that point I needed to change my fit. It had nothing to do with anything else other than my hand was a mess.
Yeah, the bleeding and the sores triggered you to go look at your fit checked out. So that's a good one for a lot of pro shops, or actually a lot of consumers, is you can bowl 3 games, and if your fit's a little off, you may not even notice it. You might be putting some skin protection tape on or some skin patch to get through the 3 games of the league, but when you go to bowl more than just 3 games, you say you go bowl state tournaments, you bowl doubles and singles all one day, so you bowl 6 games, you bowl team the next day, it's 9. You might be seeing a little bit of soreness in your hand. That should be a trigger to you to go to your pro shop and let them know that something needs to be adjusted with your fit. And it doesn't mean that they didn't fit you properly, it's just your hand changes over time. And you may not have noticed that change happen because you've been bowling league just 3 games a week, but you may go bowl a tournament. If you have to bowl your first regional and you go bowl 20 games in a day and a half, if that fits wrong, it's going to show.
Yeah, that's a lot different than bowling even a 9-game state tournament over 2 days. You go and bowl 20 games in a regional or 24 games in a regional over 2 days. That's a lot more. It's a lot more even than going and practicing 10 games or 12 games, because there's more adrenaline on every shot. There's more on the line on every shot, and it's a lot different bowling in competition than it is even just practicing.
Yeah. That was one time you looked at your fit in your career. What was the second time that made you decide you needed to look at something on your fit?
The second time was it was about 15 years, and it was probably 5 years too long, but I noticed as I got older and I hadn't changed my fit, my tilt started to change, and my ball got really end over end. So I went to my coach and pro shop operator at the time, and he actually shortened my span to get me to get around the ball more.
Sure.
And so it had nothing to do with comfort at that point. It was more about my ball roll.
Sure. So the first time you changed your fit was more about it causing pain or cuts and stuff on your hands. The second time was you wanted to change your ball roll. So your fit, there is no absolute perfect fit when it comes to measuring a bowler's hand. Every bowler is uniquely different. And as we lengthen our span, we want to get more reverse pitch. If we have a little bit shorter span, we take away a little bit of reverse pitch. But by changing your span, it allowed your hand to get around the ball a little easier, allowed you to get more axis rotation, allowed you to see the ball change directions better down lane. So that's another good reason why you should look at changing your fit sometimes. Is if your fit's fine, it doesn't mean you shouldn't still tweak it a little bit. You may not be having the cuts and sores, but you might want to get your ball to react different on the lane, and with a little shorter span, your hand's going to naturally get around the ball a little easier, but vice versa. You might be twirling the ball a little too much, and you want to stop doing that, and that might cause you to want to lengthen your span slightly.
Right.
And when we're talking about slightly, we're not talking about changing it a half inch. It's a 16th or so, and but that's something you should go to your pro shop with if you're if you're wanting to see the ball react different in the lanes, it may not necessarily always be, I just need a new ball that back ends more. It might be physically that your game doesn't allow the ball to back in more, so adjusting the fit might help change your ball roll.
It could. Adjusting your fit definitely can change your ball roll, which I certainly noticed at that point when I did it.
Right. So you change to adapt your game to get more back end reaction, and ultimately, it should help you create the kind of ball reaction you're wanting to see on the lanes.
Right.
Yeah. So now let's go on to the third time that you changed your fit. Why don't you walk us through that one?
That was just recently, actually about 2 years ago. As I'm getting older, I'm 48 now. I've been bowling for a very long time on the tour, and my hand started losing flexibility. So I didn't change anything in the span, but at this point I changed pitches. And I went to more away in my fingers to kind of relax my fingers a little bit. And it was this time again, it was back to being a comfort thing.
Sure.
Because I was starting to get bruises on the pads of my fingers from having a little too much underpitch.
Right. And that's from when you're 18 to 25 to 30 to 35. You didn't see it until you're a little bit older, but your hand's going to lose flexibility over time. Your hand's going to change sizes over time. You're never the exact same weight, especially from when you're 18 to 46. I am not the same weight I was 28 years ago. About 5 pounds heavier is all. More like 45. But your body changes constantly as you age.
And it can also be if you move to a different climate as
Absolutely.
well. You know, one of the changes I made just recently was when I moved from Las Vegas, which was a very dry climate, to Ohio, which is a very humid climate. It definitely makes a difference. It makes a difference in your fit, and it makes a difference how you come out of the ball. Yeah,
that'll change how easily your thumb will come out. If it's a more humid environment, your skin's going to be a little more sweatier and tacky. It's not going to come out of the ball as easily. If your skin was very dry, it's going to come out too quick. Another great one is if you move. Check your fit. There's nothing reason. I recommend every bowler check their fit once a year. Go to your pro shop. You might take the summer off. You come back into the fall. Before the league starts, go in, get your equipment primed up, fixed up, freshly sanded, freshly polished, whatever you do for your leagues. But have them check your fit. That's something that the pro shop will have no issue doing because they want to make sure you bowl good and you're bowling your best because that reflects on their ability as a pro shop operator with not only giving you the right ball, but make sure you have the right fit. So don't go be afraid to go ask your pro shop to check your fit, check your flexibility. They may recommend you change your pitches. Like you said a little more away. Some people call it reverse pitch. As your fingers get stiffer, you can't bend them as easily, so you're not feeling the pads of your fingers on the gripping edge of the ball. So your fingers are stiffer, you can't quite bend them enough. So you need more reverse pitch to match
if you
up.
start feeling it on the back of your fingernails, that's when it might be time to get that changed.
Yeah. The moral story here is get your fit checked. Don't be afraid to go in. If you're bowling bad, there's all kinds of reasons if you're struggling. One can be, the lane conditions have changed. One can be that your fit needs to be changed. There's a lot of things. You might just need a lesson sometimes. Everybody gets out of whack. Your timing gets off a little bit. But don't be afraid to go into the pro shop to get your fit checked. And as always, tune into Trackcast so you can find out the latest information about the track bowling balls. You get some tips from Dave and I about things to look for when you're bowling. Make sure you follow us on our social media pages and make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get all the latest information from Trackcast.